Hello everyone, welcome back to our lesson. So for today's lesson, we will do a reading exercise. The skill involved in today's lesson is reading 3.1.5, and the learning objective is to recognize with little or no support the attitude or opinion of the writer in extended text on a wide range of familiar topics by answering 8 questions correctly. Okay, before we begin, let's look at the pictures there. Right, let's look at the first picture. Okay, that is a picture of a camel with its teeth sticking out, and the caption is "My camel Goofy." So the person who took this picture named this camel Goofy. And then the second picture, it shows a picture of a woman with henna drawings on her hands, both of her hands, in front of a building. And let's read the caption: "Outside the Marrakesh souk with my henna tattoos." Okay, she looks like a tourist, right? Because she doesn't look local. And then the third picture, sand dunes in the desert. Sand dunes is actually a hill of sands. This is actually like a mountain of sands. You can even people can slide down the hills like snowboarding, but actually on sand. Okay, so this is the woman, probably the same woman as the second picture just now. Okay, now look at task B. Okay, let's read the instruction. Read the text quickly and match the headings A to G with the paragraphs 1 until 4. These are the paragraph 1 until 4. There are 3 extra headings which you do not need to use. Okay, that means you have to match these headings with the paragraphs given here. But only 4 headings is going to be needed. Okay, so the extra 3 are just pointless. All right. Now, in order for us to decide which headings belongs to which paragraph, we need to read the text first. All right. Okay, now let's read the text together.
My Trip to Morocco by Amanda Edmonds. I arrived at Marrakesh airport where I met my friend Amélie, who had arrived the previous day. She's been to Morocco many times, and I couldn't wait for her to show me around. Amélie is French, which is cool, because they speak Arabic, French and Berber in Morocco. As soon as I'd dumped my bags in the hotel room, we went out to grab a bite. We went to a souk, which is an open-air market by day, but at night it turns into a bustling open-air restaurant with loads of food stalls. It was full of life and everything smelt delicious. I was enjoying the sights as we were walking through the crowd eating our kebabs, and I didn't notice a man yelling at me. He was a snake charmer, and I almost stepped on his cobra because I wasn't looking where I was going. I had seen many people the previous night with henna tattoos on their hands, so I asked Amélie where I could get one. So it was back to the souk, where a little old lady turned my hands into a work of art. She explained that the tattoos would go away 2 weeks later. Afterwards, while walking around the city, I noticed how some people hail taxis. They don't stick out their hand, but they point a finger, or even 2 fingers. I asked Amélie why they did that, and she explained that it was a way to tell the taxi driver how many people need a lift. Later, we needed a taxi to get back to the hotel, so I gave it a try. We found a taxi pretty quickly, so I guess it worked fine. I was a bit nervous about our next outing, but as it turned out, I had the time of my life. We went on a 2-day 4x4 excursion to Erg Chebi. This is a place in the Sahara Desert, and it took us most of the day to drive there, but it was definitely worth it. We watched the sun setting over the enormous sand dunes. Then the real show started, as the stars came out and filled the entire sky. Living in the city, I had never seen so many stars. It was magical. I fell asleep that night imagining how wonderful life as a Bedouin might be, roaming the desert on camels and sleeping in tents under the stars. A few days later, my dream came true and I got the chance to go camel riding. But it didn't really live up to my expectations. Getting on a camel isn't exactly a piece of cake, but after a bit of a struggle, I managed to get up there. I called my camel Goofy because he had huge teeth. We rode off, but after a while I felt dizzy, and I asked the guide Moha if we could stop. Moha told me not to worry, as I'd get used to it. He also said that camels are known as ships of the desert. Then it crossed my mind that I was feeling seasick in the middle of the desert.
Okay, now, which headings in B do you think best describe the first paragraph? So in the first paragraph, she talked about how she first arrived in Marrakesh, and then how she met Emily, and how she described what she saw the first time she landed in Marrakesh. So the most suitable heading is which one? A natural delight, things to avoid, a scary experience, first impressions, a rough ride, living with the Bedouins, or gestures and handiwork. Since she talked about what she did the first time, right, and how she felt the first time she arrived in Marrakesh, so the best heading should be D, her first impression. So D. All right. What about the second paragraph? Which heading best describe this paragraph? So in the second paragraph, she talked about what? She talked about how she went to a market and get her hands done with henna tattoo. All right. So which heading do you think best describe the second paragraph? Is it a natural delight, things to avoid, scary experience, living, yeah, gestures and handiwork, right? Gestures and handiwork. The handiwork is the henna art. Henna to inai, okay? So the handiwork is the henna art, and the gestures is the hand gestures where people there, the hand gestures that the people living in Marrakesh use to signify how many people are going to board the taxi. It's here. It's here. Way to tell the taxi driver how many people need a lift. So that is why the best heading is G. Gestures and handiwork. Okay, what about the third paragraph? In this paragraph, she talked about how she rode a 4x4 excursion, which is a four-wheel drive to Erg Chebi. This is a desert, okay? And then she had the time of her life. And then she watched the sun setting over the enormous sand dunes. Then she watched stars, filling the entire sky. And then she thought it was magical, and she fell asleep that night imagining how wonderful life as a Bedouin might be, roaming the desert on camels and sleeping in tents under the stars. Bedouins ni maksud dia it's a group of people lah, macam satu tribe, satu puak atau kaum macam tu. So the right heading for paragraph 3 is definitely not things to avoid, not a scary experience, not a rough ride. Living with Bedouins. No, she didn't talk about how she want to live with the Bedouins. She only imagined how nice it is to live like a Bedouins. But mostly the entire paragraph talks about the nature, right? So the best heading is A, natural delight. All right, now let's move on to the fourth paragraph. This is where she talked about how she rode a camel and she thought it was easy at first, but it wasn't. It was challenging. And then she met a camel and she named the camel Goofy because it had a huge teeth. And then she felt dizzy, and the guy named Moha told her that camels are known as sheep of the desert. That is why she felt dizzy. So the best heading for the paragraph number 4 is not things to avoid, not scary. It's not really a scary experience, right? It's just more like a challenging experience. So this is not the answer. So this is the heading, the best heading that suits paragraph 4. A rough ride. So there you go. Now let's move on to task C. Let's read the instruction. Read the text again and answer the questions. Okay, number 1. Why was Emily a useful person to visit Morocco with? Why? The answer is in the first paragraph. It is because Emily had been to Morocco many times and because she spoke French. Let me highlight. Because she's been to Morocco many times and she is French. Okay. So where should we write our answer? I think we should write our answer here. Okay. Number 1. And because she spoke French. Okay. What about number 2? What did Amanda eat on her first night in Marrakesh? What did she eat? She ate kebabs. Yes. She ate kebab. Okay. Number 3. Why did a man yell at Amanda? Why? Because the answer is here. Because they noticed a man yelling at me. He was a snake charmer and I almost stepped on his cobra because I wasn't looking where I was going. I almost stepped on his cobra because I wasn't looking where I was going. She almost stepped on is cobra. Cobra ni apa? Cobra tu ular sawa. Okay, number 4. Where did Amanda go to get a henna tattoo? She went to the... What's the name of the market? She went to the souk. When the hands were out somebody, so it was back to the souk. She went to the souk. So the answer is the souk. To the souk. Souk ni apa? Souk ni macam market lah, macam pasar, tempat Wan Siti Khadijah, pasar seni. It's that kind of place lah. Right, question number 5. How many fingers did Amanda hold up to hail a taxi? How many fingers? Tengok, jom tengok balik. Mana cakap? Where is it? Yeah. So I gave it a try. We found the taxi pretty quickly, so I guess it worked fine. How many fingers? 2 fingers, because she was with Amelie. Amanda was with Amelie. 2 fingers. Okay. Number 6. How long did it take the girls to get to Chabi? How long? We went on the la 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 la. It took us most of the day to drive there. Most of the day meaning sepanjang hari. Most of the day. So it took them most of the day to get there. Right. Number 7. What impressed Amanda the most on their trip to the desert? Then the real show started. The real show started. Look how big of a deal it is, because it says here, the real show started. As the stars came out and filled the entire sky. Living in a city I have never seen so many stars. It was magical. I fell asleep that night, imagining how wonderful life as a Bedouin might be. So she was impressed the most with the stars in the sky. Okay, the last one. What is the question? Why did Amanda want to get off her camel? Because she felt getting off, but after a bit of a struggle, I managed to get up there. Blah 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 blah. We rode off, but after a while, I felt dizzy and asked the guide Moha if we could stop. So she got off the camel because she felt dizzy. Felt dizzy. So there you go. That's the answer. Okay, maybe you could structure your sentence differently. Alright, now let's move on to the next task, task D. Find words or phrases in the text and match them with the definition below. Okay, number 1. In paragraph 1, which word means putting something somewhere quickly and carelessly? Let's find the word. Putting something somewhere quickly and carelessly. Okay, in paragraph 1, what is the word? Did you find the word? As soon as I dump my bags. Dump. Okay, you campak je bag you, terus you keluar tempat lain. Kan? She just dumped her bag and then went out to grab a bite. Go out and eat. So the word is dump. Okay, what about the second one? Get a small meal in paragraph 1. Which word means getting a small meal? Grab a bite lah kan? Grab a bite, yes. Grab a bite. Grab a bite. Okay. What about excursion in paragraph 3? Paragraph 3. I was a bit nervous about our next outing, but as it turned out, I had the time of my life. We went on a 2-day 4x4 excursion to Chebe. Excursion. So excursion here means outing. Outing tu macam trip lah. Okay, now which word in paragraph 3 means whole? Whole maksudnya keseluruhan. Let's just scan. Keseluruhan, entire, right? Whole sky, the whole sky, entire sky. So it's entire. Entire, right? Now, number 5, wander or travel around an area. Paragraph 3 as well. Which word means wander and travel around? Had never so many. It was magical. I fell asleep. No. Bedouin might be roaming the desert, roaming, wander around and traveling. So roaming is the word. Itulah maksud dia macam merayau. Okay. Merayau-rayau. Roaming. Now let's look at paragraph 4 and find which word or phrase means not being as good as one hoped for. Not being as good as what we hope for. Paragraph 4. A few days later, my dream came true and I got a chance to commemorating, but it didn't really live up to my expectations. So this didn't really live up to my expectation means not being as good as one hoped for. Alright, so it's not live up to one's expectation. Alright, now which word means very easy? Still in paragraph 4. Very easy. Getting on a camel isn't exactly a piece of cake. So a piece of cake means very easy, right? A piece of cake. Just now was live up to my expectation. Piece of cake means easy. Kacang. Piece of cake. Okay, the last one, realize, sedar. realize. But after a bit of a struggle, I managed to get up there. I called Camel Goofy because he had a huge teeth. We rode up and asked the guide Moha if we could stop. Moha told me not to worry. Yes, okay. He also said the camels are ships of the desert. Then it crossed my mind that I was feeling seasick in the middle of the desert. It crossed my mind. So realize here means cross one's mind. Terlintas di minda seseorang. Okay, so there you have it, our answer. So that is all, I think. And for this exercise, okay, you need to have the answer, only the answer for task B, C and D in your E2. So task B, task C and task D in your E2, right? Just write down the answer only. Okay, no need to copy the question, no need. Okay, so that is all for our class today. So thank you for your participation and I'll see you guys again next time. Bye bye.